anyway, apparently beer brings people together, because after 4 years of working together, we got married. And since then, we've been coordinating these 3 large festivals for Pajarito Mountain on behalf of the ski hill and on behalf of Los Alamos Ski Club for, well, ever since then. So it's almost been 10 years that we actually started working together on these events. There's 2, if you can see the photos, these are the 3 events. There's Summerfest and Ulerfest. These are summer events. They're in June and September, respectively. Each event has lift-served biking and hiking. There's a cafe at the Ski Hill Lodge that's opened. We hire a band. There's an organization called Desert Disc Golf here in town, and they have a disc golf tournament that goes on at this tournament, or at this festival. The Los Alamos County Bus Service also provides free bus rides from in town up to the mountain and back as a part of their safe transportation programs, because there is a fairly large New Mexico craft beer garden that goes on during these festivals as well. And Ulerfest also has a costume contest. So that is the traditional like festival to appeal to Uller so that we have snow for the winter. This event brings in about 1,500 people throughout the day. And it's been a great summer and fall event. We also do Skiesta, which is in March, and this includes a fun and lightly competitive snow racing events. We have a mogul competition, a GS competition, a rail jam for snowboarders, a sloppy slalom, which is just a fun obstacle course. Usually kids, adults do it too, sometimes get stuck in it, but they do it too. A pinhead challenge for our telemarkers and people who like to skin up the mountain. And the crowd favorite is a jumping contest. In this photo, you can see the jump happens right in front of the lodge, so everybody can watch. And at the end of the day, we crown king and queen of the mountain. There's also a band that plays. The cafe is also open. There's a smaller beer garden because we don't have the room that we do in the summertime to put up all the beer tents. And so we usually have about 5 craft beer breweries from around northern New Mexico, usually Santa Fe, Taos, Red River, Los Alamos are the ones that come for that. And the bus service also runs on this day too.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. They were great pictures. I'm excited to go. So next person to present for 2 to 3 minutes is Clay, and then we have Heather.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Clay Mosley. I live here in Los Alamos, and I was a former professional cyclist for quite a few years. And you know, when I stepped away from the sport, I moved up here, got a job at the labs, and then eventually the county. And it was just one of those things that you know, I saw over the years that I participated in a lot of events, what went into actually putting the events on. Maybe it was just something that I always noticed. It was like, gosh, these people just got up and came and did this for us, you know, and it was really enriching, you know, to my life. And I really appreciated what people did, you know, as volunteers and you know, just enthusiasts. And so when I had a little bit of spare time, you know, mostly before when I had kids, you know, there was always like a little gap. I took on some events where there was a little bit of a gap. Somebody was looking to get out of it and looking to hand the reins over to someone else, or there was like a state series going on, and they wanted to hold one of the series events here in Los Alamos. So I organized and promoted the Tour of Los Alamos a couple of times. There was the New Mexico Cyclocross Series. back in the early 2000s, wanted to put on a course here in Los Alamos, and the guy reached out to me and I said, yeah, I know of a good course. So I put it on for a couple of years, and looking to maybe hand it over to somebody else, because I never thought of myself as a full-time event promoter. But that almost happened when I got kind of into participating in triathlons, and I was one of the founders of the Triatomics Multisport Club. We started seeing that there was a gap there and that needed to be filled locally. We had so many multi-sport people here, and we didn't really, other than the Los Alamos Triathlon, we really didn't have much else. So, we had this beautiful pool, we had all these beautiful roads and everything. So we started the Splash and Dash series here in town in conjunction with the county, because the county, pretty much holds the keys to everything here. And then we developed the Atomic Man duathlon, which grew into a national event over the course of several years. And then, once my wife and I got busy with kids, we handed it over, and a couple of people attempted it a few times, saw that it was a lot of work, and it finally was a little too much. And then I took over the Pajarito Trail Fest a couple of times, and was definitely helped out by Pajarito Mountain on that one. So yeah, I've done a lot of just a lot of different types of events. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of like race coordinating and event management in that way. So
right, and
just a wealth of expertise. So we'll have a
Yeah.
question for you in a bit, but I'm just going to give Heather a chance
Yep.
to just introduce yourself and tell us your startup story.
Hi, I'm Heather Arnold, and I'm the co-owner of Routes Bicycle Tours and Rentals, and we're located in Albuquerque. We also have a location in Santa Fe as well. And our startup story is probably similar to what a lot of people here are saying. We saw a need that needed to be filled. Albuquerque is a beautiful city, and a lot of times it was kind of considered 10 years ago a pass-through city. So people would come through and go to other parts of the state to do some sightseeing. And we wanted to get them out of cars and keep them in Albuquerque to see the hidden and not so hidden gems. So we created routes, and we created a way to get people onto bikes and out of cars and into the city to be able to experience all the beauty that we see every day. And this includes locals too. It's one of our favorite things actually to have locals on our tours. It's interesting because my husband came from architecture and I came from corporate marketing. And when we started our job, we still had our previous jobs as well. So when we started this, it kind of was a slow start, or we thought it would be, and it actually wasn't. So we both had to leave our prior jobs to really focus in on this. And we're 10 years in now. And although, COVID was a tough time, we're really seeing that bounce back, that rubber band effect right now for outdoor recreation coming back. So it's been really exciting in that regard.
That is awesome. It's good to hear that as well, because I think people were really frightened halfway through last year,
Yeah.
whether we would get some sort of, I don't know, leverage again, but that's good to hear. Let me just stop my timer. I was timing everybody. Sorry, doing like 5 things at once. Okay, so that was great. Thank you everyone for sharing. So what we're going to do now is we have just a couple preset questions, which you all have had access to. And we're going to start with Jeff. I thought you would be a good person for this because I know that you're very situated in your business, but I was wondering what challenges you came across. So the question, I'm going to have you start off. No, I'm not trying to put you in the spotlight, but or the hot chair, or whatever, hot seat. What challenges have you faced along the way or in launching your idea?
Totally. So I was thinking about this a little bit, and I think that with this business, I had never really had expectations for it. It was always like, I was just fascinated by the process, and it just sort of happened little by little to the point where I was like, I'm going to start an LLC because I want to learn about that, like, and see what the process is and get to know it. So I've never taken the business side of it super seriously. And so I think because I don't have a lot of expectations, I've been lucky in that there haven't been a lot of challenges. Like, I have a day job, like whatever happens with this, whatever. But I think the biggest thing that I'm sure it sounds like a lot of folks in their businesses that are a little bit farther along have faced is, before the pandemic, I was getting to a point where I was getting super busy with this side business, but then also having a day job. And it's kind of like, I don't get enough with this little side business to quit my day job, but it's getting to the point where it's a lot to do both. And so, like, sort of stuck in a little bit of a purgatorial thing. And then the pandemic hit and kind of like wiped out the side business. And so I hadn't had to worry about it. But yeah, I think that's the thing that a lot of people are going to face, like that breaking point of like, when is the side business too big to be on the side? And do you want that to be your life? So I think that's a question that's going to come up for me again soon. And I'll have to have a little come to Jesus when that happens. So it's an ever-present challenge for sure.
Cool. So for the essence of time, I'm going to ask the next question, but I've jotted down a couple questions that I'll follow up with just in case we need some extra questions at the end to help our audience out. Okay, so Thad and Susan, I wanted you to answer the same question because I don't know if you said this in your intro, but both of you volunteer with what you're doing. So I would love to hear from you about that. So what challenge have you faced along the way, or in launching these events? What challenges have you come across?
Oh, well, I'll answer this one, but yes, we both work at the lab, and so we do have a dual roles. We got to do our day jobs as well. I think Jeff was saying, but I guess the biggest challenge for us in event planning, and I think when everybody has events, there's a lot of paperwork and getting the requirements from the county, and we're getting the requirements from the state, and especially for us, I spent a lot of time doing the alcohol permits for this, and those things, and even events are, as we know in this COVID thing, and they're changing. We don't even know what the new rules are, and I don't even think we don't even know how to do an event coming out of this. And so just, as simple as getting the right form and starting with the right form and not submitting like an old form, to, a state organization, and you get way behind if, say, 20 of your vendors filled out the form and you didn't give them the right form. So check that you're doing that right with the county. Is Harry Burgess still gonna sign this, that kind of thing. So I have 30 seconds, and do it way before you need to. Oh, and the last part is, don't put your event on top of somebody else's event.
Which is a rough thing. It's
or
so hard. It's like
graduation. There you go.
I feel like if we're going to take away any advice from this, that is a solid piece of advice. Perfect. Thank you so much. So this next question is, do you have helpful, and this is for Clay, do you have helpful suggestions for anyone in our audience that is thinking about starting an outdoor rec-focused side gig?
Definitely reach out to people who have like project management skills. You have to put yourself on like a project management schedule, have milestones, go to the county, make a connection to each of the departments. It all boils down to kind of individuals that can help you navigate the labyrinth of requirements, things like that. Just reach out to the stakeholders and see if you can get them engaged. And, if you can bring more of a committee into it rather than trying to do it by yourself, which is a lot of times the way I tend to do stuff just because of time. I'm not a real big sit-in meetings type of person, but definitely having a committee to work on it and share the workload. That's key. I think it also lends more credence. You know, there's more weight behind what it is you're doing.
That's really good information, especially since you've done so many events at this point.
Mhm.
It is great information.
Yeah, and the ones I tried to do kind of in a vacuum by myself, you know, those were always the hardest ones. I mean, at first, controlling all the variables myself seems great, but when I really had to reach out to county traffic and county emergency response, you know, all of it just all of a sudden became like, okay, this was too much. I should have had people in here helping me. And, you know, it was in hindsight, it was a mistake.
Awesome. That's great advice. Thank you so much, Clay. So Heather, I was going to also give that question to you as well, which is, again, do you have any helpful suggestions for anyone in our audience that is thinking about starting an outdoor rec-focused side gig?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to echo some of that, definitely using the many, many, many resources that are out there. So places like economic development, outdoor recreation, the state tourism, CVB, all of that. There's so many people that are available and great minds that can help you to be able to do this and help you with those resources that you need. It's definitely not an easy thing to go alone. And so even reaching out to other businesses that are similar. I mean, I think it's great because this is such still an untapped market. You know, we're all here, we all have something unique to be able to do with it. And so being able to reach out, and it really seems like it's a community that we all care about each other and what we're doing in the outdoor rec, and we want to help each other grow because it is so important to us. We all have a passion for this. So I think reaching out to other people too, getting ideas from that and trying to work with it that way.
Awesome, thank you. It sounds like we're really lining up Kelly right now. So I did have a question for everyone in the audience and then also the panelists if you wanted to answer this as well. Sort of about, I wanted to have a little option to have an idea sharing moment. So this question for everybody is, what outdoor recreation business would you like to see in Los Alamos? And you can answer in the chat, just type it in real fast if you have an idea. If you don't, it's fine. I will say that we put out this question on social media, on Instagram the other day, and we had 4 comments that were relatively the same thing, which were starting a gear share or a gear library, which I thought was very interesting. Right, so Lindsay is really interested in glamping, which is fantastic. I'm going glamping for the first time in July and I'm very excited. Awesome, cool. We also, some of the other ideas that we received were a bouldering and rock climbing gym, and also a like a child's naturalist, just hiking program. So those are some. So Kelly is saying, of course, glamping. Yep, great. Outdoor youth Devo outdoor program. Interesting. Okay, like in Durango. Cool.
What's the gear sharing? What kind of gear?
From what I could gather, it was all kinds, like having the option of, because having things like skis and snowshoes and backpacking equipment, like everything you would need, is like a lot of money. So having that kind of, I guess, communal gear sharing, there is like, you know, with everything, there's things that go into that, but I thought that was interesting that 4 people would like that. Ooh, a bike library. Yeah. So just like a whole bunch of different kinds of gear. Like if I want to try mountain biking and I'm not ready to buy my own mountain bike. Okay, awesome. You can continue putting in your answers in the chat and I'll read them after. But I'm going to pass things over to Kelly now. And Kelly's going to give us an overview of some of the resources and how we can turn to the county for startups.
Hi, I'm Kelly Stewart. I'm a marketing specialist with the Los Alamos County Economic Development Division. And as part of that, I manage our tourism marketing efforts as well as our visitor centers. I contract with LACDC. I also manage a contract with Main Street and the Creative District. So I work with that group as well. And we're really working together, especially through the pandemic. We've really started working together to try to figure out the best way we can support small and emerging businesses and prospective businesses, and especially outdoor recreation. We've got a current, we have a plan in place, a tourism strategic plan in place, where there is a committee, the Tourism Implementation Task Force, and that task force is split into different focuses, and one of them is events. So this comes up and kind of plays into how we can support, how the county can support the event permitting process. You know, there's special use permits, temporary use permits, getting streets to help you with your blocking off the streets when you need to and diverting traffic. All of the things that kind of came up through these events where it's like, oh, you're not quite sure where to go. We're trying to, I think that I know Lauren's on this call and she might be able to speak a little bit more about what they're doing with the events group, but they're doing a survey to get that information. And there's also, we're doing an outdoor recreation work group as part of that as well. And we've reached out to Axie Navas, the New Mexico outdoor recreation director. Lindsay Mapes has worked with her. Lindsay is on our group, and we're just trying to figure out the best way to really develop outdoor recreation as an industry, kind of a separate industry, similar to the way we've done it for tourism, and having a plan and how we can use our land and our resources in general, economic development resources, to assist in developing that and making this a destination for outdoor recreation. So it's definitely part of the tourism strategic plan. And if, I don't know, whoever's familiar with government, we have to have a plan in place in order to support it. And that assists us in getting grants so that we can get, you know, more money to help with whatever effort we do, whether it's developing a new, you know, what the projects that the community services director has going, which is like you know, the bike trail, a new bike trail, and even a bike. We have such advanced biking up here that I know we're looking for ways to kind of fill in the gaps with facilities that help for, you know, those that are learning how to bike so that they can get up the mountain. So, and especially with when they holding events that kind of bring people, competitors, and bring their friends and family to come see our attractions and really play up the tourism aspect of that, and bringing that business to our local businesses, our downtown, our Main Street, so that they eat at our restaurants and shop at our stores. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. This weekend, I put in a lot of work into trying to come up with this fail-safe. We had a meeting too. How can we tell people so they don't feel like they have to run all over the place, Clay, to find the people, to find the right forms, to do all that kind of thing. And what we realized was that it really depends on the business. It depends on the event. But we're going to try to come up with a process that is like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in as much of the right order as possible, to reduce the amount of runaround and to clarify for you. So to make it as easy as possible to run a business or to run an event here and make it successful.
Awesome. Thank you. So because we were talking so much about reaching out to people that could help you, I thought it was a great opportunity to turn it over to Kelly. Thank you for doing that. So I have one last question, and I'm going to go back to Lindsay for this one, which is why do you think outdoor recreation is so important for Los Alamos? Because you've been a number of places now, Gallup and Taos. What is it about Los Alamos, or what sort of like, what is the need for outdoor rec here?
I'll talk about the opportunity real quickly and then the need. So Los Alamos is a unique place in the state in that there is a solid economic driver. Most people in Los Alamos have expendable income to spend on things like outdoor rec. Los Alamos is also in an interesting situation because of the landscape, which I think makes it difficult to do other types of activities in your free time. So the landscape drives people outside to explore and to recreate. So I think there's opportunities, generally speaking, because of the economic factor and because of the natural landscape factor in Los Alamos. I think the other opportunity that's happening right now within the state, and I think the rest of the panelists probably can chime in on this or feel this way. Also, I would assume that the timing for outdoor recreation anywhere in the state of New Mexico, it's right now. So if you have not been involved in outdoor rec before and you're thinking about doing it, get on the bandwagon now, because this is when there's lots of support at a statewide level, and now locally, different municipalities are getting on the bandwagon. There's programs being developed, and I think this is my prediction. I think everyone is going to be involved in this in the next few years. So if you can get involved now, you can get your name out there. You can utilize the resources that the state and your municipality offers. Los Alamos is developing that now. So you could be on the front end of how Los Alamos develops itself as an outdoor recreation, which whatever you end up doing, that might benefit you. So I just think timing is crucial with any business, and the timing is really good for every outdoor rec business that I have thought of or talked to people about. So I don't think there's a better time to start an outdoor rec business than right now. And there's a lot of money floating around still from COVID stuff. So it's just good timing.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, and at this time, we're going to turn it over to the audience. And if you have any questions, I don't think you can unmute yourself. You can try, and I can see you try and turn you on, or you can put your questions into the chat.
Hi, I'm Greg White, 600 San Alfonso Road. I apologize joining the meeting late. I got hung up downtown and just couldn't get home in time. Where could I view a recording of the meeting in the future?
Yes, so I started the recording a little late, but you can record. We'll have the meeting on a YouTube channel for Los Alamos Nature Center, probably in the next couple weeks. And also, this is actually a great opportunity. If the panelists are willing to give out information or places in which we can find out more information about your businesses, that would be awesome. So you can say it, you can type it in the chat. Feel free to do whatever is more comfortable for you. Perfect. Thanks, Greg. Okay, so I had a couple questions. So I understand, and I think this is a normal thing for a kind of a small business, but in outdoor rec, I think it's interesting. When you're entering that, Jeff mentioned that there was a balancing point between you just have a side hustle and it's fine, and then it starts sort of veering into your normal work life. Is there a hesitation about hiring on people? cause a lot of issues, or I don't know. Jeff, can you answer that? Are you researched?
I would love to hear somebody else answer that for me, because that's exactly the spot that I'm at now. It's like, or that I will be soon, I think, like, do I want to hire someone else? And like, then you have to get unemployment insurance, and it just opens up a whole nother, like there's a whole nother blossoming of business levels in there. So I'll do actually just like a quick, maybe a side shout out. When I started my business, I got a lot of help from the SBDC, the Small Business Development Council, I think it is, which where I am in Albuquerque, they're affiliated with CNM, the community college in town, which is where I work. So I just walked across the hall, but I know they have offices in other communities throughout the state as well. And so they were super helpful for me. And, if I do take this question seriously at some point, that's the first place that I would go. But yeah, I would love to hear other people's experience with that who have looked at it a little more seriously.
Thanks for that plug. And I was going to type that in the chat too, but they are a great resource for sure. Awesome. Did anyone know how to answer that question? Are we all sort of there?
Heather, what was it for you? Yeah, you did it.
So it was definitely one of the scarier things, hiring our very first employee. We eased into it by hiring our family first. I'm not going to really recommend that as much because it was a learning curve for all of us with that. But we've had so many great employees over the years. So we're in our 10th year now. And you do have to think about all the things like unemployment insurance, taxes, all of that stuff. But it helped us with our business so much going to that next level, and all the fears that we had of the more money we were going to spend doing it was quickly diminished with the fact that now we had more time to work on the business ourselves, and we were able to reach more people and do more things. So as we got to hire more people, our business got to grow as well. So I think one of the best things to do is being able to learn how to delegate and not take on so much control, because you have to really learn to be able to trust people and let them do it as well. So I think that was one of the biggest learning curves for us too.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that, taking it deeper. Yes, Lindsay.
I have a suggestion for you, Jeff, and anybody else that needs help, but you're hesitant about bringing on an employee. And Jeff, it sounds like your business with federal employment laws, this would work for your business, is starting out by bringing on contractors, 1099s. So you don't have to worry about unemployment insurance. You don't have to worry about workers' comp. You don't have to worry about payroll taxes, because the payroll stuff is, in my opinion, was the most cumbersome part about actually having employees. So bringing on an independent contractor is a nice next step before you take the big leap into hiring actual employees, and that's when you hire employees, that's when all the federal regulations kick in.
I think that's really good advice from Lindsay on how to get into knowing, basically getting a working place of work going with some employees. And at the same time, they may have changed the name to Small Business Development Corp or something like that. But back when I was in the Air Force, sometime around when Moses was a corporal, it was called the Small Business Administration. And since I was a paralegal specializing in contracts, I had a lot of close work with the Small Business Administration, because just the way the federal government works, you're supposed to be trying to award contracts to small businesses, even if you could get it cheaper from a large business. The theory on that is that the small business grows, creates more employees, which creates more tax, which creates more jobs and grows the economy, instead of just giving it all to all the big business, But the Small Business Administration, or whoever they're currently called now, is a wealth of information on the pitfalls of all types of different businesses, because people come to them, you know, everything, you know, from restaurants to sports bars to ski lodges, you know, to everything. But the one thing that I found personally in my work with the Air Force was the one thing that the Small Business Administration said led to some outrageous figure like 95% of startups closing within 5 years, and the majority of those happening in the first 18 months, is that the owners could not separate out that the company's money is the company's money and not their money. The owners that don't get strict with themselves and pay themselves a salary and stick to it and don't dip into the company funds, use the company funds only for growing the company, the ones that don't, you know, do that, they're going to end up failing in the long run. Because something comes along like COVID or something, you know, and throws you for a loss you didn't expect you were going to have.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for that, Greg. It is good advice. And I do think that, what is it? The Small Business Development Center, they definitely are one of those sources that we can turn to. And then we have one question from So Kelly, go ahead, and then we have 2 questions.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. The county just hired the small business development rep at Los Alamos. So there are the two closest, and they are small business SBDC is a great resource. So the 2 closest are in Espanola or Santa Fe, where you get that information, and SBA is the federal version, and these are just the state. There's a statewide organization, and then they have local offices.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. So we have a question from Linda Hull, and then if we have time, I'll squeeze in one more. Have any of you considered marketing directly to the school district here? ? I'm thinking of Wilderness First Aid class directly to certain grade levels. Might be an interest in health classes / PE, promoting biking ? So many students are involved in team outdoor sports. So it's a 2-parter. So we'll answer that first. So marketing to school districts.
We haven't done so yet, but it's definitely something we're open to doing. They just came up. I know they've just formed a biking club, you know, for, I think it's high school level.
So we work with several schools in school districts throughout New Mexico, actually, and we do tours and adventures with their camps that they have going with their groups. So a lot of summer camp adventures that they do when they come into Albuquerque or come into Santa Fe. And it's a great untapped market right now too, because they're really looking for something different to do, and definitely getting out into nature is one of the best ways for that.
Yes, Susan, I see you.
Pajarito Mountain actually has a Wednesday ski school, which for some of the elementary schools is part of their PE program. And that was started by Tony Hinojosa, who was a PE teacher at Mountain Elementary, and then started talking to some of the other schools in the school district, and so that they come up to, in 5th grade, to Pajarito Mountain to learn to ski.
What school districts? It was like Espanola, right?
Yeah, there's also, Espanola is also doing it, and they also, I think, had one of the public schools.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome. Okay, in the second half of this question, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to throw in, I did try to market my class to the Health Leadership High School here in Albuquerque and didn't get a big response. I think one challenge with that is schools just have super tight schedules and budgets and things like that. But there were some whispers on the street that Albuquerque is starting a like outdoor recreation charter school to go along with some of the other charter schools that we have here in town. So that might be a good thing for folks to keep in mind as a potential, like school to look to market to in the future when that happens.
Definitely. And so the second hand, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody. But the second part of this question is, would any of you consider offering to host a fundraiser for a local nonprofit in which profits would be shared between your business and the organization?
So that's a great opportunity to plan an event. Most events that, well, I don't want to say most, but many events that I know that start, they start with the idea to raise money, because events can be, depending on how you structure it, events can generate a lot of money. So I am not sure who asked that question, but I think perhaps starting some sort of event to raise money would maybe be a good idea.
That was Linda. Linda asked that question. And
Okay.
yeah, Linda, if you have ideas, you have some emails now. So feel free to reach out. Awesome. Did anyone want to add to that?
Well, as far as being able to work and help with a nonprofit, the first thing that comes to mind is the Los Alamos Foundation. They probably would be the best people to work with if you want to have some type of fundraiser like that.
Yeah, definitely. There's quite a few of them. Thank you so much for interjecting, Greg. I really appreciate it. So that was quite a lot of questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. And again, I know many of the people on the panel this evening have shared their information. Please reach out to them if you have questions. They are people that have done this before. Yeah, so we shared our information. Thank you so much to Jeremy from the Creative District for partnering on this. Thanks so much, Jeremy. And thanks to everyone that tuned in. So again, we'll be sending out that evaluation. And yeah, have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much. It was good. It was great to hear from all of you.
Yep, thanks for hosting us. It was a good show. I appreciate everybody's input. And I want to go start a recreation business now.
I know, right?